I'm actually Italian, so I was born in Italy. I moved to Canada, I think it's around 6 years ago now. Initially, I came here for university to study, but around that time when I was moving is when I started writing a bit more seriously and going to studios, going to record and start putting music out. So I've been doing that for a few years now. And yeah, I think 2 or 3 years ago it really started picking up and it became something more serious and something I decided I would like to do for a living. And so from there was just, trying to grow, learning and trying to get somewhere with that. And yeah, it's going very well now. I'm excited. Big album is coming out pretty soon, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, for my name, Verses, yeah, that's just pretty much combining a couple words. So it was like my verses, like the verses you write, so the lyrics, against everyone else, so versus everyone else. So that's how I just decided to name it Verses. It just made sense, and that was pretty much it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of the thing, like it does make sense, like, okay, verses, and you just kind of, that's what you do, is you rap and you put it into verses, right? But sometimes artists have a different meaning behind their names. They don't necessarily mean what we think they mean.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting, like you may have been like, well, no, verses, like when my mom was little, she sang verses to me or something, right?
No, yeah, it doesn't have a backstory to it, I guess, but it's just the concept of kind of me writing and then expressing it to everyone else and kind of against everyone else. So verses just made sense, and I thought it was pretty straightforward, so I just went with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I really do, because it's pretty simple, pretty easygoing, and it's something that you can remember. However, it's not spelled the same as a regular verses word.
Yeah,
it's spelled differently.
It is.
So what was the meaning behind that?
Well, so instead of the U at the end of the word, there's a V, so it spells VS, which is, the abbreviation for verses. So it's kind of just a play on words there. I decided it made sense. I actually changed that. It wasn't initially like that, but I figured I should do something clever with it, so that's what I came up with.
Oh, that is clever. I actually kind of like that. Well, it's kind of like your own branding too, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. Something to make it a bit more unique.
Yeah, instead of just like a regular logo, you can just have your name as your brand.
Exactly, yeah.
Very clever. When did you get an interest in music?
I was probably 14, 15 when I first listened to rap. I guess it's the typical Eminem was the first rapper I listened to. I think a lot of people are are gonna bring up that name first, and so I could relate to a lot of stuff and a lot of the feelings that were conveyed through his songs. And so I started listening to more and more rap, started discovering more kind of underground artists that weren't necessarily mainstream, and then I felt like I had something to say, so I started writing myself. And yeah, from there it was just, in the beginning I just wrote, I never recorded anything. It was kind of like a progressive thing. It's like, oh, maybe I should try recording this. And it was very bad in the beginning. And then, progressively it got better.
Do you have stuff from the beginning still? Do you have it?
I do. Actually, I think my first 2 songs are on YouTube through a friend's channel. I would have deleted them, but my friend kept them. So my 2 first songs are still there, and they're pretty embarrassing, but I mean, it's something nice to look at sometimes, just to like remind myself how much I've grown in that sense.
It is good. It's humbling, and yeah, I find it too. It's actually kind of important to record yourself, not necessarily vocal wise, but even just video wise, to kind of see how you perform, and how you're singing and how you react to things. It's because you change over the years as you get older, and people kind of see, how you evolve through your whole music and things like that. So it's good that you actually, sing that stuff, and then, like you said, you can go back and oh, well, I really sucked there, but
exactly. It's a good reminder.
Yeah, so now you're more of a professional rapper. you have a lot of music out.
Yeah.
But more recently, well, we'll kind of get into it a little bit on your new releases, but
Yeah.
what would you say has been kind of like your busiest year since, like when did you really technically start releasing music? And what has been your busiest year since?
I think last year and this year is where it actually started becoming a very serious thing, and I kept releasing music consistently. My first album came out last year, so that was a busy time for sure. A lot of new singles, and the album, of course, coming up. It's the first time I also started performing at a couple events here and there, so that was exciting. And then 2020, I pretty much just made it a mission to like even top 2019 and do even better and release more stuff, work on another album. So I'm just like pushing myself to do better. And this album is 10 times bigger than the one I released last year. So I'm excited for that. And I've already put out, I'm not sure exactly, but I'm trying to put out more than 1 or 2 songs a month. So I'm consistent with it. And then at the same time, I'm working on this project. And I feel like this year I'm starting to, reach bigger artists for features and start building a network that can definitely become something more important in the future.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I know I've been a lot of the artists that I have been talking to over the past couple months. They are definitely, they're all like, hey, reach out and let's do collaborations and things like that. So of course, like if there's anybody that I've reached out to before, you can let me know and we can try and get that together. So
for sure.
that's kind of what this whole sort of segment is about. Not necessarily just all artists that I'm going to be interviewing. There's going to be quite a few people, but it's connecting. Being the name Connected with Carrie is, we're going to be connecting artists together. We're going to be connecting people in the city together as well. So that's the whole general thing. So as, when you keep watching along, if there's someone you want to work with, let me know and we'll make that
We'll do for sure. Thank you.
Where was your first performance?
My first performance, you said?
Yeah.
My first performance would have been at Fire and Ice was my first actual show where it was just me, so in Calgary. But I think my first actual show was at UFC.
Okay.
Yeah, UFC, there was, at the Den there, the bar or whatever. I performed with a friend. And it was great. So that definitely encouraged me to keep pursuing this and to do more. And so my first solo concert was at Fire and Ice. After the UFC performance, that was it. Yeah.
All right. So you have not performed on like a bigger stage yet at all?
I have. I opened, I guess just one time. I opened for Tyga. So that was big. That was definitely the biggest I had done. And it was exciting. A lot of artists from Calgary were there, from other cities around too. So it was exciting to meet everyone there. And definitely a bigger crowd and a bit more pressure. So
yeah. Well, that's kind of like one of the things I like to find out from artists, especially, is how do you find performing? Do you prefer a smaller crowd, more intimate, to reach out to your fan base, or do you like the larger audiences? What do you find? What do you really prefer?
Yeah, it's funny because I was able to do both, right? So Fire and Ice, for example, or Junction, places like that is a smaller, more intimate crowd. And then the Tyga concert was bigger. But no matter what, I have the same level of pressure and nerves before the concert. And then when you jump on stage, it's like it doesn't matter who's in front of you. You just go into the zone and you just rap. So I don't think it really matters. So I guess I would say larger just because it's more... It gives me more motivation and it's nicer to see more people. Because no matter what, if it's 10 people, 100 or 1,000, I'm always nervous before I get on stage anyway, so I don't think it changes much.
Well, some people have this stage fright. Either a stage fright or they're like, it'll go away after they start performing, or they have just like the other fight of just like, I don't know who's out there, who's watching me, or, you know, things like that.
Right.
So, you know, would you say it's stage fright that is your biggest fear, or just maybe worried about how the performance is going to go? Is there anything that really strikes you as like, I don't want to do this?
I honestly think the best way to describe it is just stage fright. I don't really think like who is there and who's watching or how it's going to go, because I know that usually once it begins, you're fine. Like, I know, you know, it's my songs, I know the words to them, I know it's going to be okay if I concentrate, if I focus. But no matter what, there's going to be stage fright before getting on there. And I experienced that a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, I'm immune to that, but I'm definitely very nervous. But it's funny how what they say is true. You know, you start rapping or singing or whatever it is you do, and it just all goes away. You just focus and do what you do.
Why did you choose rap and not another genre?
It's pretty much, when I listened to it, it was the genre that spoke to me the most. It was the one I could relate to, the feelings that were being expressed and how clearly and simple they make it. Like, it's very straightforward. Rap is very straightforward, so it speaks to you directly. So I could relate to that. Yeah, I think that was it. I think I just related to the lyrics. I related to those who were rapping and the stories they were telling and all that. I felt like it was something I should try, and I felt like I had the need to write, and that's how it started. I started writing very early, but I didn't record until 4 or 5 years after that. So, yeah.
Do you find the writing process one of your favorite parts of it, or do you find it's like just something I can't stand writing, or do you really like just crave it and you love it? Like, is there a passion for that part?
Yeah. Writing is definitely my favorite part of the whole thing. Right, the lyrics and the ideas and putting words together and wordplay, rhymes, all that nerd rap hip hop head stuff is what I'm passionate about. That's definitely my favorite part. You know, starting from nothing and then looking at your notebook and the whole song is there. I don't know. That's the exciting and passionate feeling behind the whole thing. But I definitely like recording as well, putting the song together. I haven't got the chance to get into producing and the beats part of it yet. I always focus more on writing and recording more. But maybe in the future that's something I'll attempt.
Right. Do you have a studio at home, or do you go to a specific studio all the time?
Well, in Calgary, which is where I live, I go to a specific studio. A friend I have, and he's great, so I've been recording there for years. But now in Toronto, because I can't go to the studio due to the whole COVID situation, I actually rented out some equipment and built my kind of mini in-home studio, just so I can still release music and I can still do something and not feel useless for months. so I kind of forced myself to do it.
Come on now.
Yeah, well, but it's just like if I were not to record or release anything for 3 months, I you know, the consistency drops and the fans are expecting something and you're not giving it to them. So there's kind of that pressure as well. But it was good. It was a great decision because I'm actually recording more like this than I would in Calgary. So.
It's going to help you. There's a lot of artists right now due to COVID. I think it's been kind of good. You kind of see them more productive, and they're like, yeah, I've had these, you know, lyrics just sitting in a book for months, and they're like, now is the time you're recording, and they're getting it all out. So it's really nice to see how productive everyone is. So now you've just stated that you've got some equipment and you're putting things together. So this could actually be the part of your start of production.
Right, yeah. I mean, I'm not great at doing all the technical stuff behind, like the mixing, the mastering and all that. So what I've been doing is I record here pretty much as rough as I can, like whatever I can do here, and then I'll send it to the studio in Calgary. And then they'll do the whole behind the scenes things and do the mixing, and that's when it really sounds good. If I were to release what I record here, it would not sound that good. But it's something. Yeah, I guess I'm starting. I mean, I've been forced to learn like how the, you know, recording softwares and all that stuff works. So that's definitely something new that I've learned, but I'm still not an expert with the mixing and all that.
Right. Well, you're learning, and that's the important part of being an artist of any type. Is you're consistently learning and you're creating the things that you love to do and making music. So I commend you for that.
Yeah. No, thank you for sure. Thanks.
You're welcome. That's great. So speaking of music, you just put out a few songs over the past year or so.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk about it. I know you're not gonna sing it, but Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Was one of your newer releases. It was out in 2019.
Correct. Yeah, I think it was
October.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write that?
So how it works with me, I'm sure it's different with all the artists. For my process, I won't write until I'm very inspired and I have a couple lines in my head already, like some wordplay or something I really want to say. So when I do start writing, it usually doesn't take much. It'll be maybe an hour or two. But I won't start writing until I already have like some structure in my head. So I'm sure if I were to start writing from zero without any ideas, it would take much longer. But when I write a song and I actually sit down and have my notebook, it really doesn't take that long because I have most of the ideas already. So I would say a couple hours for that one as well. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Well, just so some artists, they say the writing process is just like it's a snap, and others are like that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Is just writing and just getting it down on paper, and they get writer's block and things. So it's good. It's good that you can just come up with it, and then it's more the other stuff that you're like, well, I'm still learning how to produce it or throw things together. But nice, in the whole community with the artists is everyone they work together, and that's been a great thing about Calgary, especially because like we're both here. Well, you're not here now, but I'm here. But the whole scene here in Calgary, as you know, has been incredible with working together, and especially everyone reaches out all the time because there aren't too many studios here.
Right. So
it's kind of like this fight for them. But it's still great. Everyone loves to work together. So Peter Pan, did it take long to produce everything, like to have it all wrapped up and just ready to go, ready to release? Was it something that was just pretty easy?
I mean, I guess recording my part and everything was pretty straightforward like every other song, but this one features High Res, which is a pretty well-established rapper in the US. So I guess what took the longest was kind of combining the two parts, right? So me sending my part and then him taking his time to do his and then sending it back and then mixing the whole thing together. That usual stuff that happens when you collaborate with someone. But he's great. Honestly, he did amazing on the song, and he promoted the song on his platforms as well. So it was great to work with him. And the song did great. It's actually my biggest song on Spotify to this day. So yeah.
Did High Res come to you, or did you reach out to him for the collaboration?
Well, I reached out to him for the collaboration. So I saw he started following me on Instagram, or following back, I guess, because I was following first. And he liked some of my songs. And so I was excited. I was like, hey, why not work on something together? And it happened. So we were actually thinking of filming a video for that as well. So I would have to fly to LA and do that. And he agreed to it. The only thing is now I guess things are a bit on hold because of the whole situation. So we'll see when we're able to travel again. Maybe that's something that will happen. Who knows?
Have you guys been putting ideas together for it?
We haven't discussed the video too much. We have discussed a second song that we'd be working on. So maybe that's something that's going to happen. But it's definitely, he's someone that is very approachable and always available and super nice with upcoming artists. So he's very easy to talk to and to discuss ideas with. He's not someone that will, ignore you, or some artists are harder to reach out to. but not in his case. So I'm sure that we will end up working on something else.
Maybe you guys could put out a whole album together.
Oh, well, yeah, that would take a bit more, but who knows? I mean, never say never, but we'll see.
Right. Maybe this could be like your little project now, as you guys could do a whole album together.
Hey, I'll throw that out. We'll see what he says. I'll try to tell him.
Right? Yeah. And then we'll come back here where we are now, on Jess FM and Jess TV, and then everyone can tune in and they can be like, oh, hey, they're back on Connected with Carrie, and gotta hear them. So to be able to do that, but we'll have to reach out to him and just let him know my idea.
No, I mean, hey, it's worth a shot.
Okay, so now that's kind of like one of the songs I wanted to talk about, because it's one of your larger releases and you're doing very well with that.
Right.
Congratulations with that, of course. So the other songs that I wanted to kind of bring up was Hate.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you to sing that. To rap it. Sorry, I should say rap, not sing.
No worries, yeah.
So we'll do that in a minute for those watching, so that they're like, well, I've never heard him sing a rap or whatever, so we'll do that. But I wanted to kind of find out the inspiration behind it. If it was indeed from, angry words or hateful words or your feelings towards something, or if it was just an idea you had.
Hate was more, it wasn't like anything in specific I was addressing, but it's kind of a more fun song that addresses the online hate you get from people. So it's not like someone in particular that said something super offensive. It's just the general thing that every artist will experience at one point, where people hate and people, will comment under your stuff just to say something mean or whatever. But I know it's something that happens to everyone, so I decided to take the approach of just making it a fun song and something to kind of, laugh about rather than actually be serious about. And yeah, Futuristic seemed like the perfect fit because he's a great rapper, super technical, but he's also very good with the fun stuff and like discussing those sort of topics. So I decided to reach out to him, and yeah, that song has done great as well on the streaming platform. So yeah, it was great.
Great. So can we hear that now then?
Sure. Yeah.
Great.
I'll play it here. Let me make sure. Hopefully you can hear it. Wait, let's see if it works.
Right. Absolutely. I cannot hear it myself.
You cannot?
Just hold on a second.
Okay. Sure. So it should be playing. Okay, so were you able to hear it?
I could not hear it on my end, so okay. I don't know.
Computer or something. Sorry.
Yeah.
I want to make sure.
That's okay.
Maybe.
Well, this is the thing about live, and now that people are quarantined and they're at home, way more. I mean, we both work, we have day jobs, but there are people that are consistently home and they've been watching, Jess FM or Jess TV. They've been tuning in, or they go on to other platforms and maybe watch my other shows, or I don't know if you've done any live streaming shows yet, but they kind of understand the whole situation if things don't work.
It can definitely be challenging, but I can try playing it here. Let me know if you hear it, okay?
Okay.
See. So give me 1 second.
I can hear now.
That works?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
You can hear the beat properly?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I see all the comments, man. I read everything.
Okay, so let's do it.
I just don't give a fuck. Check it.
I'm used to all these people, all they wanna do is hate. You write a type of comment, when I write I'm making bank. I said just come to me in person if you got some shit to say. Yeah, listen. Yes.
Who's the kid that lifted all this music shit? I'm super different. Told you bitches I got dumb presents, cause I'm super gifted, too persistent. I grew the business cause I viewed my mission. Always stuck in the past, now fucking up tracks and futuristic. Who's the misfit bitch? It's me. Gotta get the rapping. Listen please, from OCD to 2 CDs you find under your Christmas tree. I'm top 5 to be concise. I got drive, I'm extra nice. And if I'm not on your list, then just be like Santa, check it twice. I wreck the mic, respect the fight, or you get caught in the middle of this. No, I'm always as real as it gets. Every word, every bargaining, these bitches dissing. I'm slaughtering millions of kids that they think they can rap. 808's the only thing that will clap. Hold up, wait a minute, what's up with the limit? You thought I was finished? Let's finish it back. I'm murder every word, I'm a human encyclopedia. Calgary is safe, cause I'm the one who keeps the city up. As if I'm scared of a dude who's obsessed with monkeys. I guess truth must be a tough pill to swallow, even for such a junkie.
Yeah, there you go. That was a preview. I'm not gonna do Futuristic's part. Unfortunately, he's not here to wrap it.
That's right. That's fair. In all honesty, that's fair.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the beat to it. I really do. I really like it. And I like that. Yeah, there's so many haters out there through social media, trolling all the time consistently. I don't know if it's jealous or if the hate drives them just because they have nothing else to do. I don't know.
I don't know either. I struggle understanding as well, but it's just better to ignore it, I guess.
Right. Well, they say haters are going to hate. What do you feel about that statement?
I mean, yeah, I guess there's just nothing you can do about it. You're not, usually these people are not people you can, like, you know, have a conversation with and help them change their mind. It's just going to be, for whatever reasons, you're going to get hate no matter what you do. And it's something you have to accept and just kind of ignore and keep doing what you do. And that's pretty much it.
I've had artists tell me that they've had situations where they've actually like been stalked at the clubs and some get hate mail, things like that. Have you encountered anything?
No, nothing of that sort. The worst that has happened to me is, you know, people DMing or saying hateful things, and then you block them, and then they'll create a fake profile and message you again. That stuff happens. But not anything as serious as actual stalking. Thankfully, hopefully that doesn't happen, but yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Well, these are kind of the issues that you face when you become a little bit more famous and, you know, you're doing your thing, and I don't know why, but people have that hate, and it's just like, why are you guys even being like that? So I'm glad you can look at it from a good perspective and turn it into something that could be a little more positive, because even ideally, hate can drive you to being more creative, to pushing your limits, to just be like, you know what, I'm going to use this hatred, I'm going to turn it into positive, I'm going to push it, and it drives you that much more to creating more music about it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Do you think you have a lot of songs that have driven you from hate?
Yeah, I would say it's a huge motivation and something, definitely some fuel to use for you know, writing ideas or whole songs, whole concepts that come from that, for sure. I think anyone that encounters or that has to deal with hate, the best thing you can do is pretty much convert that into something positive. And just be inspired from it, and you know, you want to prove people wrong, and so you're going to work harder and harder than you've ever done before in order to do that. So if you take that approach, it's definitely going to be something to use to your advantage rather than you know, something that discourages you.
That's good to hear, and I think that's a really important message to be able to send to inspiring artists as well as kids as well.
Yep.
Yeah, like bullying and hating is it's quite a big thing on social media, and a lot of people don't actually even think about it, and some people don't even know about it.
Yep.
So do you think that song has created an impact on anybody, or has brought to light like can be an issue?
I can't tell you like particularly for that song if I don't remember exactly, but I do get a lot of messages, DMs on Instagram or Facebook, people telling me, that the lyrics to this song have changed them or helped them through a tough situation or a difficult moment they were going through. So that's definitely something nice as an artist to know that that your words and that your work can help someone through like a dark phase in their life or anything like that. I like to think so. Anyways, Hate, as you said, Hate has done pretty well. So I on Spotify right now it's like 80,000 streams or around there. So I like to think that if even just a couple of those 80,000 people have gained something positive through it, then that would be something nice to know for sure.
Yeah. Again, like it's something that it's really nice that people touch upon because it's very hidden, and it's just almost like talking about other issues like abuse or things like that. A lot of people don't want to talk about it and they don't want to address it. So it's good that you talk about it and you just just like the haters, you guys go hate somewhere else, and to kind of teach the people that this is something that it may be around, but there's ways around it to not let it affect you personally. And it's going to be anywhere you go, whatever industry you're in, work, school, things like that. So the younger kids that are listening to that music can be like, hey, Versus made this song about this, and it's so great. And this is like, you can be teaching them how to turn it into a positive thing. I love that.
Yeah, that would be awesome if someone actually gets that message, and if I was able to change someone's mindset with the song, then that's amazing. I mean, that's part of the reason why rappers rap in the first place, is to give an important message and to have an impact on someone's life. So that's great for sure.
Yeah. Have you had any kids like message you or say anything, or has it been like older people, like teenagers or whatever?
No, it's a pretty wide age range. A lot of people have messaged me. I think the one kind of work or piece of art I did that had most people reach out to me was the freestyle I had done in the past called "I Hate You, I Love You" remix, and that one was kind of a more sad, discussing relationships and breakups and that sort of typical stuff. And that one did really good on Facebook. I think I dropped it 2 years ago, and it reached 2 million people on Facebook alone. So I started getting a lot of messages from people that didn't even know me, telling them that this song had helped them through the breakup, or even people saying they were going through very dark phases and contemplating suicide and horrible things like that, and that this song was able to help them. So that's a crazy feeling. I mean, it's almost very, very hard to believe as an artist when you read things like that. But it's something that pushes you to do more, and if you can help more people, or if you can put more positive content out there, then you're going to do it, because it can literally change someone's life. So it's really it's kind of corny to say, because it's very it's very powerful, but it does happen. Yeah. So it's pretty cool when you know that your music can have a positive impact out there.
Well, right. Like some artists just, they have an idea for a song and they're like, oh, I'm just going to make it about this or that, or it's not even to do with their life or anything. But when you can put a really good, meaningful message behind your music, that makes it just much more interesting and gets out to the public more, and they can relate to it more.
Right.
Would you say a lot of your music is relatable?
I think so. I like to think so. To be completely honest, like in rap, there's also a lot of it. Like a lot of what I'm passionate about is wordplay and rhymes and very technical stuff. So a lot of times I'll put out music that is simply rap, like simply just to display kind of the technical aspects of it. So in that case, the subject matter is not that important, the content. But then I like to put out actual meaningful stuff at the same time. And it's usually just things I feel and things I go through. But it turns out we all go through the same stuff, so that makes it relatable. So in my case, most of them will be like, love songs or breakup songs, things like that. And of course, I'm not the only one going through that stuff. So whoever listens to it usually is able to identify with it. And when the music is relatable, that's when it really starts growing and blowing up, because people will start sharing and identifying with it. And so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, I find a lot of artists too have. I'm kind of learning a little bit more and more about some artists, how they actually don't mind being vulnerable in their music, just
Right.
because for that very reason that they're like, yeah, people are going through the same issues, and maybe I can help them out, or maybe they don't even think that they are helping people, but they actually do. So
Yeah.
it's great to see, like, it's great to see that you're willing to, break down those walls, those barriers. Some artists, they can't. They want to keep it inside, but as soon as you're starting to break those walls down and you become more personable with your audience,
Yeah.
they can relate more. In turn, like you said, they're going to share it more. They're going to be like, this is so great. This means so much more to me. And I think those types of people, like, they're becoming your fan base.
Correct.
Would you say your fan base has been, like, maybe a consistent age, or do you have a wide variety of a fan base for age group?
I would say the dominant age group is probably like 18 to 30, something like that. That's definitely most of the fans that I see, or those who engage more anyways, are usually somewhere between there. But there are definitely, older people, younger people that listen. But that's kind of the ones that really engage and message me, and the, let's say, loyal hardcore fan base is somewhere in between 18 to 30, I'd say, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just interesting to see what kind of fan base, because different genres bring in different age groups. But it's, I think rap has actually been, it's, I think, one of those, it's growing as a genre, because, like you said, more people can relate to it, and they're learning, like, I think it was kind of technically almost like a bad thing back in the day, like, oh, rap is so hardcore and bad language and things like that. Because, yeah, people do swear during their music. However, they're using it, I guess, as a form of expression. Would you agree to that?
That's something I do a lot, swear, for example, in my songs and in normal conversations usually. But that's just, as you say, it's not something I think about before doing. It's just how I express myself, and how most rappers feel more comfortable expressing what they feel. Sometimes those words just serve to emphasize the feeling and just to show how strong it is. So it's definitely not something negative, in my opinion. Not something, I know a lot of people that are not used to rap, will use that as an argument against the genre, that there's a lot of swearing and bad language and all that stuff, which, if you're not used to it, I get it. But it's not, I don't think it's something negative. I just think it's something that serves to kind of give it a more strong feeling, and just really show the frustration, anger, whatever it is behind the lyrics. So yeah, I see it as a pretty normal thing.
Would you say you would compare yourself to Eminem?
I mean, no matter if I want to or not, that comparison is being thrown around. No, it's going to, no matter what.
Let's discuss this, because it's one of those things that I noticed the first time when we met. I heard some of your music, and I was like, when I threw up some comments there on your Instagram, and I was like, okay, this is like Eminem, like, the hashtag rap god. Do you think that you are comparable to him?
I think I see why I'm compared to him, meaning I know I'm heavily influenced by Eminem. As I mentioned earlier, he's the first rapper I listened to. He's the one I look up to. Anytime I get asked my top 5, he's going to be on top. I'm not going to deny that. I look up to him a lot. But at the same time, I am slowly, like, if I listen to myself back a couple of years, 3-4 years, I was complete ripoff. So, and that's a bad thing, because you want to have your own style. You want to have your own message, your own voice. And that's something I think I was able to improve these last couple of years. So I think now I kind of have my own lane and my, clear direction of where I want to go. But I still do see why people throw that comparison around. First of all, as a white rapper, I think every white rapper is going to get the Eminem comparison at one point in their career, just because of how symbolic Eminem is as, the biggest. But yeah, but I see it, and I take it as a compliment all the time, because it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. But I do want to definitely, I try to make sure that my music has its own sound, and that, that I just have my own lane. So that's definitely something I've worked on.
Yeah, Eminem, it's got to be a tough thing to be compared to, because he's been in the game for quite a while.
Yeah.
But to look up to somebody like that and to get compliments that are, hey, you're pretty good and you're not exactly like him, but you're similar to him, it is a compliment.
Right.
So that's good. It means you're going in the right direction.
Right.
So, speaking of directions, do you have any specific goals for your career? Let's do short-term goals and long-term goals.
Short-term, very short-term would be this album. I will feel extremely pleased whenever it's actually out and ready for the people to listen to. It's something I've worked on for the longest time. And without spoiling too much, the features I have on this album are with rappers that I have had in my top 5 for the longest time. So it's been really crazy to work with them, and so I'm super excited. So when that is done, that will definitely be a huge weight off my shoulder. But I guess the goal would be to just do this for a living and just be able to keep making music, keep making the fans happy, and just be able to work with as many artists from around the world as possible. I have a huge, as I said in the beginning, I'm Italian, so I'm also always engaged in Italian rap and all the artists over there. So on this record, I was able to collaborate with some Italian rappers as well, so that's been great. So yeah, just to keep working with as many people as possible, and just to be able to do what I like. This is my passion, so this is what I just want to keep doing for as long as I can. Yeah.
Can you disclose some of the Italian rappers to us?
Sure. I'm not sure you know the names. I don't know how.
Well, you never know. Somebody that's watching to be like, hey, I love this rapper and he's Italian, and you never know, right?
Right. Well, okay. Well, I'll throw a name there. One of them is his name is Mondo Marcio in Italian, and he is pretty much he's been rapping for over 20 years. He's considered one of the OGs in Italy. So it's been crazy, and he was the nicest artist I pretty much have ever approached. He was very happy to do it. It happened very quickly. I almost couldn't believe it, and the song was already done. And then, so I'm super excited to release that. That won't be released as a single. It will just be in the album.
Okay.
So that's definitely one of the bigger songs that I'm looking forward to get feedback from.
If you could tour, where would you tour?
Where would I tour? I'd say I'd like to do it in Canada. I live in Canada, so it would be great to do it in Canada. But I think the US is definitely the country that you have in mind as a rapper. Is just what you see is your favorite artists tour in the US. You see them in New York, you see them in LA. So that's definitely something that would be great to do. But I'd also love to go back to Italy and do it there. I don't know if we'll have to see if the fan base in Italy will keep growing like the one here is. And if it is, it will be great. Of course, the language is sort of a barrier because most people in Italy are not fluent in English, so that kind of stops them from relating as much as people here do. But if it does go well, it's something I'm open to, and I would love to go back home and do something there.
Have you done rap in Italian, or can you do it? Is it possible?
Well, when I first started rapping, I kept switching. I was rapping in English, rapping in Italian. I didn't know what I was doing. It was fun to kind of do both. But then it took me, like, as a lyricist, as someone who focuses on lyrics a lot, it takes years to master the writing in one specific language. So it took me years with English to get to the level, you know, of doing wordplay and rhymes like that. So I feel like if I were to rap in Italian, I wouldn't have those skills in Italian, so it would be pretty terrible.
Yeah.
And it would just take me a couple of years to learn that as well. It's just, you just have to practice a lot. So I mean, I think I could do it. It would sound okay, but the level of lyrics definitely wouldn't be the same as in English.
You would have to learn at least one song if you do a tour and you go to Italy.
Right. Yeah, I would have to give someone something to them that they can listen to and understand fully. But yeah, we'll see. That's definitely something that would be super exciting to tour in Europe. So.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I would love to see you be able to do that and fulfill that type of dream. Is there any other bigger goals that you have as a rapper? Something like, is there maybe a venue that's kind of like on your bucket list at all?
Like, I don't know about I don't know about venues specifically, but as a rapper, I guess it's pretty common to like dream about who you're working with, and like, so as a feature. And so there's definitely artists that I have dreamt of working with, or even labels that I would, you know, if I ever were to be signed, I would like it to be this label kind of thing. So for example, the two biggest labels for me would be Strange Music, so Tech Nine's independent label, and Shady Records. Those two are huge, and those two keep, you know, releasing artists or introducing artists that are always really good and always impress me. So I feel like that would be a dream for me, to work with artists from that label, or to even eventually get signed somewhere there. Yeah, I guess that would be it. I don't have a venue in mind, but definitely those labels are something I always look up to, or look forward to working with in the future.
Have you sent any music to the labels?
So to the labels specifically, no. We're waiting for the album to be released, because it's going to be my biggest project. So we're waiting to have something really good to send. You don't want to waste an opportunity and send something that you don't think is good enough for them to consider. But I definitely have been talking with rappers both from Shady Records and Strange Music, so that's exciting. Maybe some of them are on the album. I won't spoil too much. Maybe.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah. So that's exciting. So,
yeah, we need our listeners to be like, well, what else is coming out? So this is good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. There's one other song that was just released.
Right.
And it's a little bit different than your other songs.
For sure.
It's the vulnerability.
Yeah.
So, and I love the beat to this as well. So, but if you want to be able to sing it for us, it's your new one, Let You Go.
Yep.
But a little bit of background to it and who features on it, because I was looking for the feature and I couldn't find who it was.
Yeah. Okay. So for the feature, let's address that. So the feature, this is one of the beats that I bought from a producer that already featured the hook on it. Okay. So the artist is not someone I reached out to or have their contact or anything like that. It's someone that pretty much did the hook on the beat, then the producer held on to it and then sold it to me. So that's how it works. So that's why the name doesn't appear, as you said. Yeah. I got that a lot, actually, people asking who it was. So I definitely understand that question, and it's good that we addressed it. And then, sorry, what was your second question? Background to it?
Yeah, exactly. Like why you chose it or things. I don't know. Like some people are like, I just love the beat and I wanted to make something to it, but there's a
Yeah.
story behind it.
For sure, yeah. So this is, I guess, this is one of the things I was mentioning earlier. One of those love breakup songs. You'll definitely see a pattern. Yeah. So when I first heard the beat, it was something that spoke to me. The lyrics that were, that the lady was singing there in the hook, and her voice was amazing. And so it definitely inspired me to write something more emotional and more vulnerable, as you say. And my approach is just write whatever I feel and whatever is on my mind that day. So that's a thing that is hard to understand for the fans. But a lot of times with artists, I might think the exact opposite of what I released the day before, because it's just that day I have something in my head or I have something to say, and no matter what, I will release it. And then in a week, your feelings can change or your mindset can change or whatever. So that's definitely something to keep in mind also. But yeah, so if you want, I can definitely rap the first verse for you. Yeah. Okay, let's do
Give
it.
us a
Hopefully,
little tape.
awesome. You can hear it, okay? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the hook. As I said, she's amazing. So it was definitely inspiring. Yeah.
And maybe I'll forget you when I die. That's if I'm writing that there is no paradise, cause even then I will be waiting, cause we're crazy, you and I. We really thought that our relationship could thrive, and maybe we were right, don't you wish? Everyone else just couldn't make a sound. Maybe that would have helped us to figure it out. Truth is, we're going separate ways, it's getting clearer now. So when you thought about breaking up, I started breaking down. Too sick, I just wish that I could fucking rest. Honestly, I could only wish you nothing but the best. I'll always love you, that's a fact, and I got nothing but respect. So I'm sorry I brought you down, sorry I was depressed, and it got me thinking. I was there for you when you were sick, I was the one that you could rely on going through that. I was the one that was driving crazy on the highway, and I had to reach your house before you really slit your wrist. So
Yeah. There you go. Thank you.
Since you sent it to me, I probably listened like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Because it was different, right? It's not your typical song, or hatred or this or that, but it's different. And I really like to see artists do something a little bit more different than what they normally do.
Right.
So, if you have an opportunity to work with a different genre to collaborate with something, would you do that?
But yeah, for sure. I love trying to mix genres. The most common one I did is, I guess, something like this, where you have the slower hook. So I guess more of a pop female hook. I think that always complements rap songs really well. But any genre, I mean, I can see myself rapping on a rock or like metal beat that has something harder to it or a different vibe. And talking about, I mentioned strange music earlier and Tech Nine and all that. Tech Nine is like the master of that, right? He will mix every single genre you can think of, and he does amazing things with it. So that's definitely something that has shown me not to limit myself with just the basic hip hop beats and stuff like that. So it's definitely something I'm going to be experimenting more in the future, and hopefully something that the fans will be able to see on the project as well.
That's good. We will definitely be looking forward to that, for sure.
Thank you.
It is. It's one of those things as an artist that I like to see how people grow and that it challenges them. It's not just like, oh, I do the same beat and I do this and that. So as an artist, I like to see, how they grow and they're inspiring and they're like, I can take this song and they can just twist it into something completely different. And, it's good. It's good to see that you can change it up, because who knows, you could be touring somewhere and somebody in the crowd who's a rap artist or he's a country singer or something could pop on stage and be like, hey, let's just on the fly do something.
Right. Yeah.
Would you do that if someone's like, hey, let's just do this and go for it? Think you would do it?
Yeah, I mean, on stage, it would definitely be there would definitely be some pressure associated to it with doing something that improvised on stage. But if it's like a smaller concert or something where the atmosphere allows something like that, then sure, why not?
Yay. Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
We gotta wrap up now. So if you just want to kind of let everybody know where they can find your music and all your socials and stuff, that would be fabulous.
Sure. So my Instagram is where I post most of my stuff and where I'm more present. That's at Versus Official. So Versus is VERSVS and then official. My Facebook page is just Versus VERSVS. And my major platforms, so you can find me on Spotify. Again, just my name Versus. All my music is on Spotify, all my singles, and the upcoming album will be coming out on there and on Apple Music. Same on YouTube. So pretty much every platform is just Versus, VERSVS, and my Instagram Versus Official, and that's it.
Great. When will we be expecting your album to drop?
The album will definitely come by the summer.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're already in what is it?
We are in May.
Yes, exactly. And time has flown by with this coronavirus thing. Being quarantined has just completely messed up my. But we're already in May, so album, yeah. I'm just trying to wrap up, I think, 1 or 2 songs, just the mixing and mastering side of things, and then it's done and it will be ready to be released. So I'm super excited.
Great. So people that are watching out there here on Jess TV and with them and on their Facebook Live, you guys can go check out all his music, like his socials, follow him, and become part of the fan base so that you guys can get some more information before he drops his album. Because I think like you, there's a lot of artists who kind of put the word out and they're like, you can pre-save things before it drops. And then you probably put things in your stories too of like, hey, this is going to be released and things like that. So that's, as a fan, you guys get out there and make sure that you do follow him and check everything out, because I think you're one of those artists that you're going to grow really, like, not necessarily fast, but you've been growing fast. And I think you're just going to get better in time for sure. And I think everybody's going to be more relating to you, not just through these hard times, COVID times, but just, they can relate to you more. So keep making music, keep being inspiring, keep pushing the envelope. And I'm happy for you. You're learning new skills. I commend you for that. That's super cool. So maybe the next time we talk, maybe you'll be producing. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully that would be awesome. That would be an awesome skill to pick up. So, sure.
Yeah. So thank you for joining me here on Connected with Carrie. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
It's been wonderful. And for those of you watching, yes, I am Carrie. I also own Underground Radio C. You guys can go check out my Facebook page as well. I will be here once a week on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Bringing you all like the latest interviews and bringing you artists and different entrepreneurs. But also here on Jess FM, Jess TV, there's a lot of interesting little stories you can see or other little shows. It's not just people like myself, but there's like doctors and nurses, teachers, all sorts of different people bringing you different programs all the time. So make sure you guys do tune in and stay right here. And I will be seeing you guys next week on, again, the Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So we'll see you then.